Hello students, welcome back to Nandini's classes once again. Hope you all are doing good. Now today's video is a continuation of the last one, that is the Rise of Nationalism in Europe Part 1. And if you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend you to do the same before watching this video. Now let us have a quick recap from where we left the first part of this chapter. So far, we have seen that how, after the defeat of Napoleon, the Vienna Congress had restored the Bourbon dynasty in France and strengthened other conservative regimes throughout Europe. Despite the conservative push, the liberal nationalists remained inspired by the ideals of the French Revolution, particularly the concept of liberty and freedom. After 1815, many liberal nationalists had to go into hiding due to fear of repression. Secret societies emerged in various European states to train revolutionaries and spread their anti-conservative ideologies. Being a revolutionary during this time meant fighting for liberty and freedom and opposing the monarchical systems established after the Vienna Congress. Most revolutionaries believed that creating nation-states was crucial for achieving liberation. Giuseppe Mazzini, a well-known Italian revolutionary, was a member of a secret society called the Carbonari. He believed that nations should be the natural units of mankind and that Italy should be unified into a single republic within a broader international alliance. Mazzini later founded two more secret societies, Young Italy in Marseilles and Young Europe in Bern, bringing together like-minded young men from Poland, France, Italy, and the German states. His revolutionary ideas inspired similar secret societies in Germany, France, Switzerland, and Poland. Mazzini's vision of democratic republics and his strong opposition to monarchy alarmed conservatives. Monarchs viewed this push for unified republics and nation-states as a serious threat to the existing social order. Between 1830 and 1848, Europe faced significant unrest and tension. Liberalism and conservatism were two ideologies gaining popularity. The educated middle class or liberal nationalists planned to overthrow monarchies and establish government by the people. This led to revolutions in countries like Ireland, Italy, Germany, Poland, and Turkey. In July 1830, France experienced major upheaval. The Bourbon kings, restored to power in 1815, were overthrown by liberal revolutionaries who set up a constitutional monarchy under Louis Philippe. This July Revolution in France inspired an uprising in Brussels, resulting in Belgium's independence from the United Kingdom of the Netherlands. This showed how events in France influenced the rest of Europe. Metternich famously said, "When France sneezes, the rest of Europe catches cold." In 1821, Greek people started their struggle for independence as a consequence of the rise of revolutionary nationalism in Europe. The Greek War of Independence served as a catalyst for nationalist sentiments among the educated elite throughout Europe. Greece has been a part of the autocratic Ottoman Muslim Empire and gained support from exiled Greeks and West Europeans who admired the ancient Greek culture. Many poets and artists praised Greece through their poems and arts as they believed that Greece represents European civilization and started mobilizing public opinion to support its struggle against a Muslim empire. Lord Byron, an English poet, organized funds and participated in the war, dying in 1824. After the war, the Treaty of Constantinople was signed in 1832 and recognized Greece as an independent nation. In the 19th century, art, culture, and literature played a key role in fostering nationalism and the idea of a nation. After the French Revolution, a movement called Romanticism emerged, aiming to develop nationalist feelings. Artists and poets in this movement, known as Romantics, used art, poetry, stories, and music to shape national sentiments. They used common or vernacular languages and popular folk arts that people could understand and relate to, making language an important tool for developing nationalist sentiments. Romantic writers, poets, painters, and musicians emphasized individualism, nationalism, emotion, imagination, and feeling, rather than reason and science. They aim to create a sense of shared heritage and a common cultural past, which they saw as the foundation of a nation. German Romantic philosopher Johann Gottfried Herder believed that true German culture was found in folklore and folk art, which belonged to the common people or das Volk. In Poland, nationalistic feelings were kept alive through music and language until it became an independent nation. Romantics believed that the true spirit of the nation could be popularized through folk songs, poetry, and dances. Collecting and recording forms of folk culture were seen as essential for nation building. Similarly, the Grimm brothers, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, collected and popularized German folk tales, contributing to German national identity. The years after 1830 were chaotic and marked by widespread sufferings. Europe faced severe hunger and hardship due to poor harvest and rising food prices, which added to people's misery. During the first half of the 19th century, Europe's population grew significantly, leading to high unemployment. Many people moved from rural areas to crowded slums in cities. Small producers in towns struggled to compete with cheap machine-made goods from England. In some parts of Europe, aristocracy and feudalism still existed. In 1845, weavers in Silesia revolted against contractors who supplied them with raw materials and ordered finished textiles, but drastically reduced their payments. The weavers, suffering from extreme poverty due to unemployment, were exploited by the contractors. A large group of weavers marched to the contractor's mansion demanding higher wages but were met with threats. They forced their way into the house, destroyed property, and plundered cloth supplies. The contractor fled but returned with the army, leading to the shooting of 11 weavers. In 1848, food shortages and widespread unemployment sparked an uprising in France. People were frustrated with the government and took to the streets of Paris. Louis Philippe, head of the constitutional monarchy, fled from France. To calm the situation, the National Assembly declared France a republic, granting voting rights to all adult males over 21 and guaranteeing the right to work. National workshops were set up to provide employment. Between 1830 and 1848, Europe saw numerous revolts and uprisings. Influenced by nationalism and liberalism, a revolution spread across many European countries, driven by the educated middle class alongside poor, unemployed, and starving peasants and workers. An ideology is a set of ideas reflecting a specific social and political vision. After the French monarchy was overthrown and a republic based on universal male suffrage was proclaimed, people in Germany, Italy, Poland, and the Austro-Hungarian Empire also began demanding constitutions with parliamentary administrations and national unification. In Germany, political associations from the middle and working classes united in Frankfurt to form an all-German National Assembly. On May 18, 1848, the Frankfurt Parliament was convened in the Church of St. Paul by elected members from various political associations. The members drafted a constitution proposing a monarchy subject to parliament. When they offered the crown to Friedrich Wilhelm IV, King of Prussia, he rejected it, opposing any form of subjugation and joining other monarchs against the elected assembly. The parliament, dominated by the middle class, ignored the demands of artisans and peasants, losing their support. Consequently, the aristocracy, backed by the army, disbanded the Frankfurt Parliament. Although conservatives suppressed liberal movements, they could not restore the old order. Monarchs realized that liberal demands could no longer be ignored. After 1848, the aristocratic monarchies of Central and Eastern Europe began adopting changes that had already occurred in Western Europe, such as the abolition of serfdom and bonded labor in the Habsburg Empire and Russia. The liberal revolutionaries showed a narrow-minded attitude towards women. Despite playing active roles in revolts and popular movements since the French Revolution, women did not receive their due recognition. They founded newspapers and political associations but were denied suffrage and political rights. In the Frankfurt Parliament, women were merely spectators in the upper left gallery. Political activist Louis Otto Peters wrote that liberty without women's liberty benefited only half of the humanity, meaning men. Karl Welcker, a member of the Frankfurt Parliament, strongly opposed equal rights for women, ridiculing their demands as unnatural. This awareness of women's rights based on gender equality is known as feminism. Before 1848, nationalism in Europe was linked to liberalism, democracy, and revolution. However, after the liberal movement of 1848, the focus of nationalism shifted towards promoting state power and political domination. Conservatives began using nationalist ideas to strengthen monarchies. This shift played a key role in the unification of Germany and Italy. Earlier, we have seen how the monarchy, military, and Prussian landowners called Junkers eventually crushed the effort to establish the Frankfurt Parliament. After the failure of the Frankfurt Parliament, Prussia took the lead in German unification. Otto von Bismarck, the chief minister of Prussia, played a crucial role in this process. With support from the bureaucracy and the army. Between 1864 and 1870, Prussia fought 3 wars against Denmark, Austria, and France, emerging victorious and completing the unification of Germany. On January 18, 1871, King Wilhelm I of Prussia was declared the German Emperor at the Hall of Mirrors in Versailles. The unification of Germany highlighted Prussia's dominance, with a focus on modernizing the currency, banking, legal and judicial system, which often became models for the rest of Germany. Like Germany, Italy had a history of political fragmentation, with Italians spread across various dynastic states and the Habsburg Empire. In the mid-19th century, Italy was divided into 7 states, with northern Italy under Austrian Habsburg rule, central Italy controlled by the Pope, and southern Italy and Parma ruled by the Bourbon King of Spain. Only Sardinia-Piedmont was ruled by an Italian princely house. Giuseppe Mazzini, leader of the Republican Party, inspired younger generations to fight for Italian unification. He founded secret societies like Young Italy to promote this cause through education. However, after the failed rebellions of 1831 and 1848, the task of unifying Italy fell to Victor Emmanuel II, King of Sardinia-Piedmont. Through a strategic alliance with France, orchestrated by his chief minister, Count Camillo di Cavour, Sardinia-Piedmont defeated Austrian forces in 1859, paving the way for Italian unification. Giuseppe Garibaldi was one of the most famous Italian freedom fighters who joined the Young Italy movement. He played a key role in unifying Italy, leading his army of volunteers known as the Red Shirts. In 1860, Garibaldi and his troops marched into southern Italy, taking control of the kingdom of the Two Sicilies by driving out the Spanish rulers. In 1861, Victor Emmanuel II was declared the king of a united Italy. However, many Italians, due to high illiteracy, were still unaware of the ideas of liberal nationalism. In 1867, Garibaldi and his volunteers tried to fight the French troops stationed in the Papal States, but were defeated by combined French and Papal forces. It wasn't until 1870, when France withdrew its troops from Rome during a war with Prussia, that the Papal States became part of a united Italy. Historians often say that Cavour was the brain behind Italy's unification. Mazzini was the heart, and Garibaldi was the sword. Britain's formation as a nation-state took a different path, without revolutions or uprisings, and it was a gradual process. During the 18th century, there was no British nation as we know it today. The British Isles were home to different ethnic groups like the English, Welsh, Scots, and Irish, each with their own cultural and political traditions. Over time, the English became the most powerful and influential group. The idea of Britain as a nation-state emerged in 1688 when Parliament, dominated by the English, took power from the monarchy. In 1707, the Act of Union between England and Scotland led to the creation of the United Kingdoms of Great Britain. To promote a unified British identity, Scotland's cultural and political traditions were suppressed. And Catholics there faced harsh treatment when they tried to fight for independence. The British also controlled Ireland, where there were two main groups, Catholics and Protestants. The English favored the Protestants, allowing them to dominate mostly Catholic Ireland. After a failed Irish rebellion in 1798 led by Ulf Tone and the United Irishmen, Ireland was forcibly made part of the United Kingdoms in 1801. Symbols of this new Britain included the English language, the Union Jack flag, and the British national anthem. In the 18th and 19th centuries, artists and revolutionaries used various symbols to represent complex ideas in ways that ordinary people could understand. These symbols were often familiar images from daily life. A symbol is a visual representation that stands for something beyond itself, like an object, image, word, or sound. During revolutionary times, artists would represent the nation as a person, usually a woman. This personification helped people connect with the concept of the nation in a relatable way. Using a symbol to express an abstract idea like freedom or liberty is called allegory. An allegory has both a literal and a symbolic meaning. In the 19th century, French artists personified France as a female figure named Marianne, representing reason, freedom, and the values of the Republic. Similarly, in Germany, a female figure called Germania symbolized the nation. Likewise, a broken chain represented freedom from oppression. A fasces, that is, a bundle of rods with an axe, symbolized unity and strength. The red Phrygian cap, also known as the Liberty Cap, represented a freed slave's freedom and was famously worn by the French people just before the storming of the Bastille. From the 18th to the mid-19th century, Europe experienced much turmoil. By 1871, the concept of nationalism had shifted, and the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity began to fade. Nationalism became distorted and lost its original noble goals. Over time, European nationalist groups became increasingly hostile towards each other, leading to frequent conflicts. Major powers like Russia, Germany, England, and Austria-Hungary started exploiting these divisions to further their imperialistic goals. Unlike nationalism, imperialism is a policy where powerful countries extend their rule over weaker, less developed regions, often by acquiring territories or influencing politics through diplomatic or military means. The Balkan region experienced the most intense nationalist tensions due to its ethnic diversity. It included present-day countries like Romania, Bulgaria, Albania, Greece, Macedonia, Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Slovenia, Serbia, and Montenegro. Many ethnic groups, collectively known as Slavs, lived in the Balkans. The decline of the Ottoman Empire and the spread of Romantic nationalism had turned the Balkans into a volatile area. Ottoman reforms had not succeeded, leading to many European subjects declaring independence. The Balkan people wanted freedom from foreign rule, and each ethnic group aimed to control its own territories. However, rivalry between them for dominance created further tensions. Adding to the strain was the competition between European powers over trade, colonies, and military strength. Russia, Germany, England, and Austria-Hungary all aimed to control the unstable Balkans. These rivalries led to many conflicts and ultimately triggered World War I in 1914. During this period, colonial countries began resisting European powers to gain independence. Anti-imperialistic ideas emerged as nationalism grew among colonized nations, leading to conflicts with their imperial rulers. These confrontations often resulted in wars across colonial regions. While the immediate causes of revolts varied, the ultimate goal was the same: achieving independence. Nationalism, when combined with imperialism, contributed to the devastating events of World War I in 1914, impacting not just Europe but the entire world. Although nationalism originated in Europe, it spread globally, with colonial nations adapting it to fit their specific needs and circumstances. In conclusion, while each nation developed its own form of nationalism, they all shared the common goal of organizing societies into independent nation states.